$12.3 billion, a figure equal to the lifetime earnings of nearly 4,000 American families. That's not a government debt. It's the hole beneath Caesars Entertainment, once the shining heart of Las Vegas. Once hailed as the arena of the American dream, this palace of lights has now become a monument to greed. Vegas has always lived on excess, endless nights, flashing lights, and the belief that money would never stop flowing. But the dream has cracked. Tourists are vanishing, spending is shrinking, and for the first time, the city that never sleeps is waking up to an empty dawn. Caesars was only the first domino. MGM trembles, Wynn hesitates, and every casino boss on the Strip whispers the same silent fear. What if the empire of illusion is finally collapsing? In this video, we'll expose the hidden system that drained not just wallets, but the very soul of Las Vegas. Stay until the end, because the biggest secret isn't what you pay, it's what you've already lost.
When Caesars stumbled, the shockwave didn't stop at its golden doors. The collapse sent ripples through the Strip, shaking even the giants that once believed they were untouchable. MGM, Wynn, Venetian, all had built their empires on the same illusion that the crowds would never stop coming. But in 2025, for the first time in decades, the numbers began to betray the myth. Hotel occupancy dropped by nearly 3%, visitor spending fell another 6%, and the once unstoppable river of money began to slow into a trickle. Walk the Strip today and you can feel it, not in the flashing lights, but in the silence between them. Dealers wait at empty tables, bartenders polish glasses that no one drinks from. One local commented online, "I was excited to visit Vegas for the first time, more excited to leave." That sentence, buried in a sea of Reddit threads, says more than any corporate statement ever could. For years, Vegas relied on spectacle to cover the cracks. Fireworks, concerts, and billion-dollar attractions built to distract from a bleeding balance sheet. But the truth can't stay hidden forever. Caesar's $12.3 billion debt was not an isolated wound. It was a symptom of something deeper, an addiction to overconfidence. The city borrowed against its own legend, betting that its reputation alone could outlast economic gravity. Now even the winners are struggling. MGM's luxury suites sit half empty. Wynn is offering discounts it swore it never would. Behind the curtain, corporate leaders whisper about cutting costs, merging brands, or selling assets to survive. But survival in Vegas isn't just about cash flow, it's about illusion. Once that illusion fades, the whole show collapses. The question isn't whether Caesars will recover, it's whether Las Vegas itself can survive its own mythology. And if you think the fall of the giants was dramatic, wait until you see what really broke them from the inside.
It didn't happen overnight. The downfall of Las Vegas began quietly, not with the fall of buildings, but with the rise of hidden fees. Resort fees, parking fees, convenience fees, energy surcharges, credit card fees, each one small enough to ignore on its own, yet together they bled visitors dry. Once, the idea was simple. You'd come for cheap rooms, cheap food, and a sense that everyone, rich or poor, could be part of the fun. That illusion is gone. Quote, "Just checked, they're still charging $55 resort fee. No thank you," one visitor wrote. Another added, "Vegas used to be $20 buffets and free drinks. Now it's $120 for a meal and $25 to park." These aren't isolated complaints. They're the collective voice of a city that forgot who built it. Vegas was never meant to be about squeezing every dollar. Its magic came from generosity, the feeling that you were being treated, not taxed. But greed crept in, disguised as business strategy. Hotels discovered they could raise fees without raising listed prices. Guests thought they were paying $99 a night, only to find a total bill of $180. That's not inflation, that's deception. And the betrayal runs deeper. Those who made Vegas thrive, dealers, cleaners, waiters, are the ones now paying the price. As visitors cut back, tips vanish, shifts are shorter, and the smiles on the casino floor are forced. It's not fun anymore, a bartender confessed on Reddit. We used to celebrate the crowds. Now we just survive them. This isn't just bad business. It's bad psychology. When people feel cheated, they don't complain, they disappear. They go to Reno, to tribal casinos, to online platforms where the odds feel fairer. Vegas turned its loyal fans into critics, its returning guests into ghosts. The city that once promised what happens here stays here forgot one thing: disappointment travels fast. And if you think the hidden fees were the biggest scam, wait until you see how the game itself was rewritten, from entertainment to exploitation.
For decades, Las Vegas was run by showmen, not accountants. Men who believed in dreams, in spectacle, in making the impossible feel within reach. But sometime in the last 20 years, the gamblers were replaced by executives, and the dice by spreadsheets. When MGM appointed a CEO from New York, one Reddit user summed it up perfectly. Vegas is what happens when Wall Street takes over entertainment. The city that once thrived on risk became obsessed with control. Instead of asking how to make guests smile, boardrooms began asking how to extract $1 more per head. And the results were predictable. As the old hospitality culture faded, a new corporate coldness took its place. Loyalty programs became traps. Rewards were redesigned to give less. Machines were recalibrated to pay out less often. Blackjack, once a game of skill, turned into 6-to-5 odds, a mathematical insult to anyone who knows the rules. The house still wins, but now it wins without joy. A former dealer who worked at the Mirage wrote online, "We used to be part of a show. Now we're just part of a system." The city's soul, that energy that made every visitor feel like they belonged to something larger than themselves, was quietly traded for profit margins and shareholder reports. Corporate Vegas turned an experience into an algorithm. Cameras monitor walking speed. Pricing adjusts in real time. Your hotel minibar charges you if you merely move a bottle. This isn't luxury, it's surveillance. The Strip that once felt like freedom now feels like an airport terminal. Efficient, polished, and completely soulless. This transformation didn't just happen because of greed. It happened because Vegas forgot who it was. The early pioneers built this city on relationships. The bartender knew your name. The dealer remembered your lucky number. But when Wall Street arrived, the only number that mattered was quarterly revenue. So when you walk through those billion-dollar lobbies and wonder why everything feels colder, this is why. Vegas stopped chasing dreams and started chasing spreadsheets. And if you think this cultural betrayal is shocking, wait until you see what happens when the very people who built this city, its workers and loyal fans, start walking away for good.
The most dangerous thing in Las Vegas isn't losing money, it's losing loyalty. For decades, tourists returned year after year because Vegas made them feel special. There was a handshake at check-in, a free drink on the house, a moment that whispered, "You matter here." But now that whisper has turned into silence. One traveler wrote, "I used to go 4 times a year. Now I just feel ripped off." Another added, "We stopped paying resort fees and started visiting tribal casinos instead. Better service, fairer play." Those aren't just complaints, they're migrations. Every disappointed visitor becomes a messenger telling 10 others where not to go. Across the internet, the same message repeats. Vegas priced itself out of the market. It's not the pandemic anymore. It's not the economy. It's the arrogance. The belief that tourists would tolerate anything as long as the lights kept flashing. But loyalty doesn't work that way. Once people realize they're no longer guests but targets, they don't argue, they vanish. You can see the consequences in real time. Flights to Las Vegas are cheaper than ever, yet planes arrive half empty. Hotels slash rates midweek, yet still can't fill their rooms. The middle-class visitors, the backbone of the Strip, are gone, replaced by high rollers who spend big but come rarely. The ecosystem that once balanced glamour and affordability has collapsed into a luxury bubble no one asked for. A retired dealer put it best. Vegas used to be about people. Now it's about transactions. And the cost of that shift is enormous. Because when a city built on loyalty loses the trust of its believers, it doesn't just lose revenue,
it loses its soul. If you think the loss of visitors is the end of the story, you're wrong. What's coming next isn't a recession, it's retribution. The empire of greed is finally facing the karma it spent decades earning.
For years, Las Vegas mocked the rules of reality. It believed it could outsmart economics, outshine morality, and outlast accountability. But greed has a way of circling back. Always slower than expected, but sharper when it hits. The cracks began as numbers: debt, inflation, falling occupancy. But they've become something deeper: disillusionment. Locals speak of a strange quiet that hangs over the Strip now. Not peace, but absence. The music still plays, but the laughter is gone. As one former pit boss said, Vegas forgot the simple truth. When you stop giving, people stop believing. The greed that once built the city has turned inward, consuming the very foundation it stood on. For decades, Las Vegas sold a fantasy where everyone had a chance to win. Now even that illusion feels rigged. And karma doesn't always come as bankruptcy. Sometimes it comes as indifference. Once the world's most electric city, Vegas is slowly losing what made it pulse: curiosity, wonder, connection. It's not that people hate Vegas now. One Redditor wrote, they just don't care anymore. In a place built on excitement, apathy is the ultimate death sentence. Even the city's defenders admit it. Executives blame market trends. Politicians talk of restructuring. But what's really happening is poetic justice, a slow unwinding of decades of exploitation. Vegas taught people to chase luck. Now, luck has left the building. The lights are still on, but the soul is dimming. And behind the bright screens and corporate slogans lies a city haunted by its own success. The empire of greed isn't collapsing because it failed. It's collapsing because it succeeded too well, for too long, at the wrong thing. And if you think that's the end of the story, think again. Because what comes next is the lesson America refuses to learn.
The warning signs aren't hidden anymore. They're flashing in plain sight. Empty casino floors, half-lit marquees, locals who say they can finally find parking on a Friday night. What once symbolized endless excitement has become a mirror reflecting the nation's exhaustion. Las Vegas was supposed to be recession-proof, powered by dreams instead of dollars. But the same greed that hollowed out the Strip is now eating into the rest of America. The Vegas model, charge more, give less, disguise it with glitter, has become the blueprint for the entire service economy. Airlines, hotels, even fast food chains are copying it, adding fees, cutting quality, and hoping customers won't notice. But they do notice, because Vegas was the canary in the coal mine, the first to choke on its own smoke. What's collapsing in Nevada isn't just a city, it's a philosophy. The idea that endless profit can exist without trust, that spectacle can replace sincerity, that people will trade loyalty for convenience. They won't, and the silence of Vegas is the proof. One viewer wrote, "We used to love visiting Vegas because it felt alive. Now it feels like it's on life support." Another said, "They took the fun out of gambling. Now it's just math." When the audience starts seeing through the illusion, the magic is over. The city may survive physically, but spiritually it's fading. Each shuttered buffet, each empty table, each cold smile is a reminder that no empire, no matter how bright, can outshine its own decay. Vegas didn't die from competition. It died from complacency, from arrogance, from greed dressed as innovation. And so the final warning is not for Vegas, but for everyone watching. Because what happened here won't stay here. The same greed that turned a dream into a desert is spreading through corporations, through politics, through every corner where profit outweighs purpose. When you look at the neon skyline tonight, remember, light can't hide the darkness forever. The Strip still glows, but the meaning behind it has gone dim. And somewhere in that fading light lies a question every nation must answer. How long can we keep building illusions before the truth comes to collect?